Hey everyone, welcome to the 2025.1 release party for Octopus Deploy. My name is John Bristow. I'm the community director here at Octopus Deploy. I'd like to thank you for your time and attention joining us here today. I have wrangled together some of our finest folks here at Octopus Deploy to join me in this celebration. I'll turn it over to them to introduce themselves in just a second. But before we begin, I just wanted to go through a bit of housekeeping here just to let folks know, yes, you're in the right spot. This is one of many webinars that we run all the time. If you go to octopus.com/webinars, there you'll see we have all our webinars available. You can see we're doing the release party today. In April, we're going to be coming back from KubeCon Europe. You happen to be in London and you're at KubeCon, we'll be talking about all the things that we saw and did in London as part of KubeCon. So make sure to register for that if you want to hear about everything that we saw. In addition to that, we have our 101 series. If you're interested in kicking the tires of Octopus Deploy, seeing it from basically the beginning of what you do around deployments, etc., you can attend one of our 101s, which we have for a variety of geographies. Then later on in April, we have Kit and Nick talking about a new feature that we'll be talking about called Kubernetes Live Object Status. And we have some folks here who can talk a little bit about that. And of course, don't forget, we also have our show that we run bi-weekly called Argo Unpacked. So all of this and more you'll find up on our webinars page, which is at octopus.com/webinars. Now, if you happen to be distracted and get pulled away for whatever reason, that's fine. Don't worry. You'll find everything available up on our YouTube channel, which you can find at youtube.com/octopusdeploy. You'll find not only our videos, but also every live show that we do. We are, in fact, live right now, as you can see. And you can check out all our videos there. We publish all of our recordings, etc. We have a bunch of shows available. We have webinars, we have videos, we have everything that you could possibly want there. So make sure, as they say, as the kids say, like and subscribe. So definitely worth checking out there. All right. Well, like I said, we have a bunch of fine folks here joining me today. I'd like to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. So let's start with Colin. Colin, how are you?
Great. I am awesome, John. Look, I'm glad to be here and celebrating this exciting release. We've got so much, kind of coming out in this release, but so much more ahead as we work on helping you get changes into production. I'm Colin Bauer, and I'm the SVP of Product. I get to support these folks here, but also the 160 plus other Octonauts in R&D, building the product that hopefully we want you to love. We want to help you get changes in production in a happy and joyful way. So if we're not doing that, we're always listening. I'm available on all the socials. Come reach out. Over to Mike Richardson to introduce himself.
Hi, folks. Yeah, I am Michael Richardson. I'm here in Brisbane, Australia, getting the short end of the time zone stick, as always, John. I'm a product director here at Octopus, and my mission is to help all our customers achieve world-class continuous delivery, and I love it.
All right. Sorry, Michael, we're getting a little bit of audio. That's okay. We'll move on. Harriet, why don't you move over to you?
Awesome, thanks, John. So I am Harriet. I'm one of the product managers here at Octopus, based not so bad time zone in New Zealand. So I've had my coffee, so hopefully things start to kick in soon. I am product manager for the team that we refer to internally as the developer experience team. So our mission in our team is to support the application engineers or the developers who use Octopus but don't necessarily maintain Octopus. So trying to make that experience as seamless as possible. And it was in this release, my team that has been doing the beautiful config as code for runbooks, which we'll be talking about soon. So
awesome.
Yeah, lovely for everyone to be here. Yeah.
I love it. And lastly, but not leastly, certainly not leastly, Michelle.
Hi, yes, I'm Michelle. I'm also based in New Zealand. I guess this is the takeover starting. You've been warned. I'm also part of the product team. My team is a little bit more unique. So we're called the Far in Motion team. We're more of the reactive team. So if you've ever lodged a bug through Octopus Deploy, chances are it's come across my desk. And we also have a team that works on smaller enhancements that go through. So if you've ever used the likes of deployment freezes, step retrays, timeouts, or Artifactory generic feeds, chances are you've seen our work. So yeah, I'll be sharing more of what we've done soon.
Fantastic. All right, so if anyone wants to follow along at home, we're going to be covering what's latest in 2025.1, which you can find up on our website. Let me just go ahead and add this to the stage here. So we have a page here. Some of you may not have realized that we actually have a page that articulates this. This is at octopus.com/what's new. And if you go to this page, you'll not only see the new features we have for Octopus Cloud, but we also highlight the latest and greatest for our versions that we ship for customers who run this on premises. So in 2025.1, in case you weren't aware, we have a number of key features. We're really excited about these features, and we hope you are as well. So first and foremost, we have a feature here, which is config as code for runbooks, which is awesome. It allows you to basically persist your runbooks as OCL, which allows you to store them in Git. You may ask yourself, why is this important? Because obviously people like working with text files, and being able to persist that as text files is really important. We have some other features as well. We have the ability of deactivating tenants. So tenants are a really awesome feature used by a lot of customers, and the ability, giving you flexibility and control over that is of course important. Generic OpenID Connect is a protocol that allows you to connect servers with each other. So you get secure connections between trusted endpoints there, and this allows you to connect to a variety of different platforms. So being able to support those auth flows, really, really important. So generic OIDC is a feature we have in 2025.1. We also have child first ordering of the task queue. So if you aren't aware, task queue is a feature we have in Octopus that allows you to sort priority based on the work that's being done by Octopus. This is obviously super important for teams that are working a lot with Octopus, doing a lot of deployments. And lastly, not leastly, TLS 3.1, where you have a very sharp eye on security, and being able to support those latest and greatest protocols are of course important. So we did a lot of work there, making sure that the communication that occurs between server and tentacle is as trusted as possible. So being able to support that is of course important. Now, if you want to follow along, you can find it all up on our What's New page. We also have a great resource worth checking out, which is our roadmap. You'll find us at roadmap.octopus.com. As I always say, make this a bookmark, if not your homepage. We got a lot of great features there. And not only that, you'll find features that we've released, but you also find a list of features that we have planned, and also ones that are possibly under construction or consideration, excuse me. I should probably get my terminology right. If you have an idea for a feature of Octopus that you would like to see, you can also submit an idea. So we have this big bright blue button at the top. You can submit your ideas. You can also sort by order of importance. So you can say this is, not important, nice to have, etc. So these and other capabilities are of course important, and being able to submit those ideas is going to be something that you want to do. So let us know what you think. Let us know what features you may want to consider. And we'll make sure to, the team here, this is the brain trust we have at Octopus right here, that will consider these features coming in. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started with config as code for runbooks. So Michael and Harriet, this is over to you.
Thanks, John. Hopefully that audio glitch is resolved. Otherwise, I'm going to mime this demo instead. Let's dive in. You can see my screen?
There you go.
Yes. So this is a short version of this demo. If you want the longer extended version, please go and check out the webinar we did in February. Harriet did a webinar with a few of the other folks on the team where they went through this in more detail. But for today, we have our project here, and we have some runbooks in it. And right away, you'll notice this looks a little different if you haven't seen it since we introduced config as code. You'll notice there's the branch switcher up here, which just screams, I'm version controlled now. And I'm actually going to come back to that and talk about that a little more in just a second. First, let's jump in. So we have a runbook, and you'll notice here we have some Git information where the snapshot information used to be. Again, this is screaming that we're now version controlled in Git. And we will jump over to Git for one moment. So we have our Octopus folder here. We have our deployment process and variables, which you may be familiar with. And you'll notice we now have a runbooks folder as well. And if we have a look in here, you can see we have our runbooks from our project version controlled in Git. And if we open one of these up, you'll see we have the code representation of that runbook. And as with deployment processes, you can edit these from your favorite IDE or from the Octopus UI, whichever you feel more comfortable with. Let's jump back to Octopus. And I want to talk a little bit about my personal favorite part of these being version controlled. So when we version controlled the deployment process, one of the real superpowers that it brought was that you effectively got drafts, so via branches. And the same is true for runbooks. And in fact, we've really lent into this for runbooks using branches as drafts. So I will jump back here and jump back to this branch switcher. And because I have edit permissions in this account, I can see branches, I can switch branches, I can run runbooks from any of those. If I jump over and switch to a different account that doesn't have edit permissions, if I switch branches, I can't run the runbooks. I can only run the runbooks from the main branch. So that's effectively you can think of that as our published branch for the runbooks. Now, if I jump back, this is where I'm going to tempt the demo gods a little bit. So let's say I want to make a change to one of our runbooks. Let's go and create a new branch. Okay, you can think of this now, we're in draft mode. So I am going to jump into our runbook here and very quickly make a change. So I can now run this runbook from the branch, testing my change.
This is always the fun part, watching a runbook execute. There you go.
It's the nervous part for the person doing the demo always. No, I'm just kidding.
It's actually good at 3 a.m. because you're like half awake. I'm just gonna hit the button and then I'll fall asleep for a few minutes and then I'll wake up. It's like, oh, it's done. My app's back online. Or
well, that's
There you
finding a
go.
worker.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to jump back over here, and what we'll notice is if I just refresh this branch list, I can see that that branch is there, but as the runner of these runbooks, I can't run that. I'm still running in fact, let's really tempt the demo gods and run one over here. So as the consumer of these runbooks over here, I'm running the same published version that I always have. And I can do that with confidence that it's going to work the same way it always has. And if we jump back over to here, we can see that I've run my test version now. I've confirmed that that works the way I hope. And nice little feature here as well. I'm happy with that. So let's go and create a pull request. Update my runbook process. Lovely.
No pressure.
No pressure. All right. Someone's come along and reviewed that. John, does that look good to you?
Yeah, it looks great. Looks good to me.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all my PR reviews anyway.
LGTM.
Yep.
Where we've merged that back in. So that's effectively, that's merged back to the main branch. You can think of that now as being published. So that is now live. And if we jump back over here, let's go refresh our branch list. And I am going to jump back to my consumer account. So this is anyone, any engineers or support folks or whoever runs runbooks in your organization. Now I'm going to run our runbook again. Let's go for production this time.
Hey.
And there we go. We've run the newly published and edited version of the runbook. And
Very nice.
yeah, hopefully that gives you a little overview of config as code for runbooks. So TLDR, you can now version control your runbooks alongside your deployment processes. And with that, I will hand back.
Awesome.
Before we jump, Harriet, Michael, I'd love to hear a little bit for those who aren't familiar with runbooks. Like, I mean, to me, this is a massive collaboration opportunity. I think about kind of the DBA that didn't want to hand over essay rights to the QA testers to reset the database. Now they can safely do that. Ops folks who love getting their scripts and source control. Now the runbooks is alongside it. So, like, as far as runbooks, like, what's that value add? If I'm excited about this, I want to get my team excited. What's that moment of excitement that you think makes runbooks awesome?
I think if you're an ops person, I think it's not seeing the people lined up asking you to do something that you have permission to do, and that's the reason you're being asked to do it. So it democratizes those ops tasks, so they can now self-serve that. So even the examples we have here, let's say you want to restore the production database back into staging to test some changes against production data. You can now do that yourself without having to go and ask whoever has permission on your team to do that. And it's going to work. It's automated. It's tested. It's repeatable. What do you think, Harriet?
Yeah, that, and I think it's also because it's just all in one place now. So if you've got your deployment process there and that's been updated, having your runbooks in there makes sense. Just makes things a lot more seamless. You're not having to kind of jump all over the place to find what you need to run. So yeah, I think it's hopefully makes it a little bit more streamlined for teams when working on the runbooks.
And if I'm the auditor, this must be like gold, because I can also see who ran what, where, when, and so kind of fear of unlimited admin kube control access goes away. It's like there's an audit log that captures who did what, all built on the modeling that you did for your deployment process. So.
And also having runbooks in version control now, another little side benefit is copying those between projects if you need to. Suddenly became a whole lot easier as well. You pick up the file, you can make any little changes that you need to and drop it in the other project's Git repo, and away you go.
Nice.
Awesome stuff. So just as a reminder, folks, we are live. We're taking your questions. If you want to ask a question or make a comment, let us know if you use runbooks, for example, as Colin's asking here. Let us know. You can use the comment section wherever you're joining us from, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. We're happy to take any questions live here. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next feature in 2025.1, which is talking about tenants. So tenants are a key feature of Octopus Deploy. I know that speaking to customers, when they talk about tenants, it's like, I love tenants. I use them all the time. And so we have a feature in 2025.1, which is the ability of giving us greater flexibility and control by deactivating those that aren't in use. And so I'd like to turn things over to Michelle to talk a little bit about this. Michelle, go ahead.
Thanks, John. Yeah, my my demo will be slightly more vanilla and quicker than Mike's, but it's still good functionality that our team's added here. So if you jump into your tenants if you've made the leap and upgraded your version to 25.1, you will see that you now have the ability to deactivate your tenants. So in the main list, you can see that I have one here that's been deactivated. I can quickly show you how I did that. So if you jump into the tenant that you're not wanting to use anymore, you can go down to the settings, and here we've got the enabled button. The main reason we did this is, as I'm sure you know now, our pricing is done by projects, tenants, and machines. If you're not deploying to a tenant anymore, but you want to keep that deployment history, deactivating these is a really good tool so that you keep them for audit purposes, but you can still, you don't get charged for them anymore, which is really useful. So you can see here now I've got 2 deactivated tenants. The only thing I can't do with these is deploy to them. So I can still make any changes that I want to. If I forgot to add a tag that said no longer in use, I can still do that, but I can't send any deployments to these. So I could go in here, create a new release, and if I wanted to deploy to all connected tenants, I do have 4 tenants technically connected, but only 2 of them are active. So only 2 of them I can deploy to. So if I deploy to those now, I will then have a deployment to my 2 active tenants. So you can see here, it's only deploying to those 2 active ones. I still have the deployment history for these 2, but I can't deploy to them anymore, and I don't get charged for them anymore, which is always a nice bonus. So this is supported both in the UI, which is what I've just demoed, and in CLI and Terraform. And yeah, I think that's the gist of the feature. It's nothing glamorous, but it is really useful, and yeah, hopefully it helps everyone.
I think this has benefits outside of just licensing as well. If you're using tenants to represent your locations of your stores or your customers, the reality is customers leave sometimes. Stores or devices might be offline. And yeah, being able to prevent deployments to those without losing all the history that you have, I think represents a really real world thing. So I think it's great.
Yeah, for sure. I can see a question there about tenanted deployment freezes.
Yeah.
So in our deployment freeze feature, this is only available to cloud customers at the moment. But when I create a deployment freeze, I can freeze by tenant. I'm not sure if that's what's being asked, but this is so you don't have to deactivate tenants to get around this. So if I created a test freeze here, I can assign the tenants to a freeze. So then if I only wanted to say tenant 3 doesn't want to have deployments going out from 9 till 5 every day, I can assign tenant 3. It may just be the production that they want. Sorry, this is a little bit of a sneak preview for those on server, but I can also click in here and say all weekdays from 9:45 till 10:15, I don't want these deployments going to this tenant. So this means if I wanted to deploy to that tenant, I wouldn't be able to, but I could still deploy to all of my other tenants. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but that's more of the use case for freezes as opposed to deactivating tenants.
Yeah, so quickly go through the question here. So Sicarius, I believe this username is, with tenanted deployment freezes, it would be great to have if frozen tenants could be excluded from a bulk deployment instead of just having the option override and deploy to frozen tenants. He goes on to say, my use case is I'm deploying to a group of tenants based on a tag, but if a tenant is frozen, I want to exclude them. And then he goes on to say, otherwise, I like the new feature. So there you go.
Yeah, so I guess that didn't quite cover it, but that's really helpful feedback for tenanted deployment freezes, and it's great to know that people are already using it, so I'll be able to take that feedback back to the team. So thank you.
Awesome. See, right there, taking your questions live. Very good. Very good.
Not just questions,
yeah,
but feedback.
Yes.
Just kind of Sicarius, thank you so much for your feedback. Just to let you know, customer feedback is one of our most subscribed to channels in Slack, beyond some of our announcements channels. And look, we're always reading these pieces of feedback, and it's these little bits. This is the stuff we really care about. And so whether it's disabling tenants, or if you've if there's things that we can do to make adapting to some of the licensing model changes we did last year around projects or machines, let us know. We really just want you to get value. We want to help you get the job done. But we also know that you've got to keep things online for audit purposes, or just in case, we may have not deployed to that application for the last 12 months, but we might one day. So we want to hear some of those gnarly bits. Help us with the perspective and getting inside your world. All feedback, whether it's through product board, through in-app surveys, we're reading it all. So this is great. We will absolutely take this back and discuss with the team. So thanks so much for your feedback.
Before we move on to the generic OIDC, just want to point out a couple of resources here. We actually have blog posts for a lot of our key features here. So Harriet was very nice to make us a couple of blog posts here. You can check this out at octopus.com/blog, where she talked about configures code for runbooks. And also Isaac wrote this about deactivating tenants. So if you're looking for more of the textual variety of feature explanations, etc., along with GIFs, etc., you can check out our blog posts there, which are over at octopus.com/blog. Again, make it a bookmark, if not your homepage. All right. Moving over to the next feature on the docket. Let's go ahead and take a look at generic OIDC. So, sorry, Michelle, this is again you. I'll go ahead.
I don't mind if Harriet wants to run it.
Sorry.
That would be wild.
All right. I'll go ahead and share your screen.
Perfect, thank you. So generic OIDC basically it does what it says on the tin. It's a very generic form of OIDC. I'm not going to take you through the setup process because it's not particularly glamorous, but take my word for it, I used to be an accountant and I managed to do this, so I'm sure all of you will also manage to do this. So if I jump into my accounts, you can see here that I've got my generic OIDC. If I wanted to create a new one, I just go to this add account and there's a generic OIDC option here. As some of you might know, we've already got this functionality built in natively for both Azure and AWS. So if you want to create an OIDC account for Azure or AWS, you go in and use OIDC for this. This is just if you've got a different provider that you want to use. So with the generic OIDC, as I said, we've kept this as generic as possible so that ideally it reaches as many providers as we can. The two big use cases that we've had are both GCP and HashiCorp, so it definitely works for those. So all you need to add in here is your audience. The majority of the setup takes place in this example, it was in GCP. I can restrict this to environments. I can restrict this for certain tenants. And as with all OIDC, you've got the ability to have specific subject claims. So if you wanted to limit this to a space, an environment, a project, you've got the ability to do that still. But yeah, this audience is very generic for that. With that, so when I go, I've used GCP as an example here. If I jump into my process here, when I've set up my OIDC account, this is for the run gcloud in a script step. So in the Google Cloud options, now you can see rather than having to run with the service account, you can select your OIDC. So what you need to do this is just make sure it's set up as a variable. So my GCP is set up, my GCP OIDC is set up as a variable. So this also means if I was using it in a generic runner script step, I would also be able to use that. If I had trained as a software developer, not an accountant, I would probably be able to do that. For me, the run gcloud in a script was about as good as it gets. But like I said, it's pretty easy to set up. It means that you're not rotating credentials. You've got that server-to-server connection. It makes everything a lot safer. And yeah, like I said, we've tested this on GCP and HashiCorp. We haven't had a huge demand for any other providers. The HashiCorp also has a community step that you can use this in. I think
Checking notes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that about covers it.
That's fine. That's fine. Awesome
And if you're
stuff.
not using OIDC to connect your tools yet, definitely check it out, because this is the way to connect tools together. It's a massive improvement over sharing credentials.
Agreed.
Yeah, and we're constantly making improvements here. So we started with just Azure and AWS, as I shared. We've added this generic option, and the next option that we're exploring is OIDC for external feeds, which is on your homepage, the roadmap. So if you're interested in that, then go in and let us know that you're interested, because it's possible that we might have this available to some cloud customers soon.
Ooh, fantastic. I love the teasers you guys are throwing out here. This is great. If you want to read more about this, again, Isaac has written another blog post about this, talking about OIDC accounts, talking about how to create them, basically everything that Michelle went through here. You can see screenshots talking about as an example, authenticating with HashiCorp Vault. We do have Vault integration here through a third party. This is a community step that was written by Mark Harrison of Octopus, for example. But if you're setting up these accounts to establish a secure connection between them via OIDC, you can certainly do that. So check out that blog post, which is up at our blog. Again, should be your homepage, if not a bookmark. We encourage you to do so. Of course, the roadmap is going to compete with that. So there you go. So that's generic OIDC. Anyone have anything else they want to add to this? All right, moving right along. Let's go back to the What's New page. These are ones that we're going to speak to mostly. Reordering of the task queue. So the task queue is this ability for us to obviously do prioritization of work that is being done by Octopus. Anyone have any feedback on this, the changes to the task queue that we're doing?
No, I think the thing to say about this one is this was an optimization, particularly for people who are using the orchestration project pattern, where one project kicks off deployments of many other projects. This was a bit of a performance optimization to make sure that they run nice and quickly.
Awesome. And of course, TLS, a encryption protocol for communication. There was a lot of work done here, correct, with server and cloud for TLS 1.3 between server and technical.
Yeah, and alongside that, we also increased the encryption we use for the secrets stored in databases as well. So it was a bit of a general leveling of the security protocols.
Fantastic. Simon went in with a blog post here entitled "Building Trust Through Security: Our Commitment to Customer Protection," which talks a little bit about this. So it talks about our product security enhancements. So TLS 1.3, excuse me, is mentioned there. We also talked about obviously the Rindall encryption standard, AES 256 as default for the master key encryption. We do talk a little bit about our trust center as well. So we talk a little bit about this. You can find SOC 2 Type 2 as also ISO 27001. These we'll find up at our trust center, which is at trust.octopus.com.
And we publish our own advisories as well in the CVE network. So again, really important. We know that you're giving us your keys to production when it comes to deployment. So if there anything else that we can do in this area that you need, we're really curious to learn. For us, TLS 1.3, the timing's always tight because you kind of got heritage stuff that isn't always compatible and new stuff that you want to be secure. We've been watching the timelines of the different cloud providers and people pulling, and it's like now feels like that right time to pull the trigger and move it all over. But we've got more stuff coming in the security domain. But if there's things that are important to you, again, give us that feedback. We love it.
And just to remind folks, we will take your feedback at roadmap.octopus.com and through other channels, of course, as well. This is just part of the team here that is talking to you today about this. I know that they're diligent about taking every bit of customer feedback and making sure that it gets its highest priority. All right. Was there anything else that we wanted to mention around the product roadmap before we move on to talking a little bit about what's coming next? Anyone have any other highlights or things that they thought were really cool in our latest release? Scroll through. So again, you can find that at octopus.com/what's new. Fantastic. All right, Michael, let's go ahead and this is something that let me go ahead and just move that slide and I'll put your slide. So one of the things that we want to do, of course, is give people a bit of a heads up here. And so Michael has gone through our roadmap, and we would like to share with you some of the things that we're thinking about what's coming next.
I'm going to take a deep breath here because, yeah, we have a pretty exciting list of things coming up, I think. I hope you all agree. Let's, before I do, as John mentioned, go to roadmap.octopus.com. You can see all of these and more there, and you can leave comments on the ones that you're most interested in. So first up, we have a few features for those of you who deploy to Kubernetes. This one we call Kubernetes Live Object Status. And the reason this is exciting is this is a new frontier for Octopus. This, for the first time, will show the health status of your applications beyond just the deployment. So, if you've ever had to debug a failed Kubernetes deployment and jump over into the Azure or AWS consoles, jump between all the resources to try and figure out what the current status is, you'll appreciate how nice this is going to be. Or if you couldn't jump to those consoles because you didn't have permission to, you'll realize how nice this is going to be. We're going to show the health status of your applications, your Kubernetes resources directly in the Octopus UI. So yeah, this is going to be amazing. Trust me. The next of the Kubernetes features is manifest inspection. So similar theme. If you've ever tried to figure out what's wrong with the Kubernetes deployment, it can often be quite difficult to figure out exactly what changed in the deployment. We will now show you the exact manifests that were applied, and not just that, we'll show you the diff between the current and previous versions, so you can see exactly what changed as part of that deployment, which is amazing for troubleshooting. Jumping away from the Kubernetes theme for 1 second, Harriet's team at the moment is working on ephemeral environments, and this is environments on demand. So, no more static dev A, dev B, dev C environments shared between multiple teams. You'll be able to automatically provision your dev and test environments when they're required and tear them down when they're no longer needed, which helps save time and infrastructure costs as you need them. Argo CD. So we're going to be at KubeCon next week, and one of the things we see is Argo CD has become a really popular way for people to get applications into Kubernetes, but the name's a little misleading because Argo CD on its own doesn't actually bring continuous delivery. There's still a fair bit of work to be done to orchestrate around that. And we think there's a lot of value to be added by combining the strengths of both these tools. So Argo CD brings the GitOps way of working. Octopus brings its traditional strengths in continuous delivery. Let's pair the two together. So Octopus will be able to deploy to instances managed by Argo CD. We that screenshot you see there is real. We have feature toggles in Octopus, so these will let you roll out gradually and roll back instantly. So this will it's built on top of open feature for the client, and will let you separate releasing your features from your deployments. We think feature toggles are absolutely the right way to ship software. We use them internally, and we would never go back to not. And last, but very, very much not least, we have a big theme of work that we're working on this year that we call Blueprints and Guardrails. And this is targeted at platform teams. We want to help allow them to standardize continuous delivery across the entire org. So enforce compliance and get teams up and running quickly. So we have a whole suite of features that we're working on around this. You can see here, policies, process templates, project templates. We'll talk a lot about this in the coming months, but I think the thing to be aware of here, the first one that will roll out will be process templates. So this has been requested for a long time in Octopus, the ability to create groups of blocks of steps and to reuse them across many projects. So, imagine that many of your teams inside your organization use Terraform, for example, and you want to standardize the way that you apply Terraform. So you might run the plan, then do a manual approval to check the output, and then apply it. You can now model that as a single reusable component and share it across many, many projects. So yeah, much, much more to come here. But that's a very quick run through of what we've got coming up. And just again, a reminder, roadmap.octopus.com, and tell us what you're excited about. Give us feedback on the features, please. What's going to work for you? Tell us about your scenarios.
Fantastic stuff. See, we saved the best for last, talking about all the awesome stuff that's coming. Yeah, just to remind folks, we've got everything recorded. So if there's anything you had a question about in your head and I want to see that feature again, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. We have everything recorded there. Before we wrap things up, just want to give a chance here, an opportunity for any of the PMs to talk a little bit about the features that are in 2025.1 or anything that's coming that Michael just mentioned. Any last minute sort of words of encouragement, etc. you want to share with the audience?
For runbooks, for config as code for runbooks, we'd love to see that adoption go up. So if this has inspired you, please go in and start using it, whether it's creating new config as code runbooks or migrating across. The migration is super easy. We've made it pretty simple. If you haven't already started using version control in your projects, you will need to do that first. But this has been one of our highly anticipated, most asked for features. So we would really love to see that come through in the adoption rates. So get in there. And if you do have any feedback, please feel free to send it through. Like mentioned throughout this, we definitely keep an eye on the feedback we receive.
And if you've never used runbooks, give it a try as well. Let us know how it goes. This is an area that we know there's more room to grow in and go deeper in. So we're really curious about it. So yeah, not just if you're using it. If you haven't used it, give it a go. Let us know if it makes sense for you, and if not, what would make it a great day 2 operations companion.
I have another feature that I'm just going to quickly plug. It
Yes.
is coming to cloud customers very soon. So our team has recently added the ability to scope common tenant variables to environments. So previously, if you set a variable against four common tenant variables, this applied to all environments. Now this applies across, like you can set it to either one per environment, or you can have a combination of environments. I'll just add a comment to the product board roadmap card for this, and I've also included my email if you're interested in access to this. Just send me an email and I can get you included in that first release. We've done quite a bit of testing. It's looking really cool. And yeah, if you're heavy users of tenants and you have common variables across those tenants, this is a really good feature.
Big +1.
Awesome stuff. I realize we're going to get into a bidding more of use my feature. No, use my feature.
That's what happens when you get product managers on the call.
Just use them
fine.
all.
That's right.
Yeah, why not both?
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for us. We really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you for joining us for today's release party for 2025.1. It's now available, so go download it. Go use it. We would love to hear your feedback. And don't forget all the resources we've included in today's webinar. You'll find the recording up on YouTube. And if you want to join us for any upcoming webinars, you can find us at octopus.com/webinars. And so on behalf of everyone here and all of us over at Octopus Deploy, thank you again for your time and attention. We really appreciate it. And until next time, happy deployments, everyone. Take care.